Agreement at Maastricht on Newsnight on BBC2 at 10:30. But that's the 9 o'clock news tonight. Good night.
Now on BBC1, the latest news from the newsroom of South Today.
Good evening. At least 4 territorial army centres are likely to close in the south as a result of the government's cutback in the number of Britain's part-time soldiers. Overall, manpower in the TA will fall by 11,000, and the southeastern region, which covers Sussex, is one of the worst affected, losing some 14% of its TA strength. But some local units will actually be enlarged, leading to a mixed reaction on our South Today programme from the man who heads the Eastern Wessex region.
I'm sad that the TA is being cut at all, because it's the most cost-effective way that we can arrange for the defence of this country. But parochially, I'm very glad that our local area, the area you cover, is hardly being affected at all, and that must be good news.
A Wokingham-based investment company has gone into the hands of the receivers. Stormguard, which has interests in printing, office supplies and stationery, employs more than 700 people. 2 men are starting life sentences after being found guilty of the murder of a West Sussex woman. Lorna King died when her killers, John Merry and Andrew Stevenson from Littlehampton, tried to cover up thefts from her bank and building society accounts. Her body was found in a shallow grave on wasteland near the Littlehampton bypass. She'd suffered head injuries and been strangled. The judge, Mr. Justice Buckley, described the crime as callous and wanton, and in passing sentence on one of the convicted men, John Merry, he called him a very considerable danger to anyone who crossed his path. An official inquiry into this weekend's 7-tunnel rail crash involving a Portsmouth to Cardiff train has started in Swindon. British Rail have already accepted responsibility for the crash, but now they hope to establish whether it was caused by human error or a signalling fault. That's it. Don't forget we'll have more regional news, of course, in the morning. Now here's the weather with Ian McCaskill.
Hello. It's an unusually cold night out there. Look after your animals and your old folk, I suppose that includes me. But as well as the widespread frost, there are some dense patches of freezing fog to contend with as well, especially in Yorkshire and Humberside. But not just there are some patches elsewhere too. It's because of this huge area of frosty high pressure. These weather fronts are pushing in from the Atlantic, trying to push it away, but dying on their feet as they come in towards that huge area of high pressure. Now this one may do a little bit more damage to Scotland on Thursday, but it's going to be Friday, we think, before this front comes along and spreads some changeable weather into northern Britain and gets rid of the frost and fog, at least for a time, in the south. As well as the frost and fog at the moment, the air isn't all that great either. Today it's really quite poor in Glasgow, Belfast, Yorkshire and in London too, as the air stagnates. That coincides with those patches of fog tonight in many places too, over southern Scotland, the West Midlands, the Welsh borders, and especially in Yorkshire side and Humberside. But as drier air is sucked up from the continent, drier but still quite polluted air, it does mean that the fog will be not so prevalent in the south and will clear more quickly, we think, during tomorrow. But lots of fog and frost tonight. In fact, a widespread frost, severe frost in places, unusually low temperatures, typically -5 Celsius, in some places as low as -10 Celsius, especially that is, I think, in the West Midlands. A severe and damaging frost, that's just 16 degrees Fahrenheit. Luckily, the winds inland are not terribly strong, but nonetheless, a severe frost. Now, most of that frost and fog will clear during the morning. A few patches, we think, persisting, again, probably mainly in the Vale of York, into the afternoon, where it does so temperatures there only 0 Celsius at best. Elsewhere, colder than today, 1 to 3 Celsius, but milder in the far northwest with a little bit of rain at times. Winds fairly light in most places, except in that windy, rainy north. Looking forward to Thursday, again, frost and fog is a problem, but some rain, we think, in Scotland, and then windy conditions with rain times moving southwards across Scotland and into Northern Ireland on Friday and clearing the fog and the frost in the south.
Drama for Christmas on BBC1. Patsy Kensit stars in George Eliot's tale of love and loyalty, Adam Bede.
Oh, Hetty. I think we mustn't meet again like this.
And for the first time, meet Bernard and his 2,000-year-old genie.
So is that your flying carpet then?
Yes, it is. Would you fancy a ride?
Oh no, the reindeer can get very jealous if I use alternative means of transport.
Jim Bergerac's not laughing. He's in the frame for a murder.
You sure you can do it?
Of course I can do it.
But in the shop? Do it in the shop. Then set fire to the place. Once the shop goes up...
The evidence goes up.
Drama for Christmas on BBC One.
Well, now on BBC One, Steve Guttenberg, Elizabeth McGovern and Isabelle Huppert star in a tense thriller. The story of an illicit affair with a deadly view from The Bedroom Window.